I always see myself dancing to the intro of this podcast every time, and I've realized that no one can see me and I look like an idiot. But hello, guys, and welcome to the Marigold Standard. I'm your host, Rob Goodwin. I'm joined as ever by Mr. Matt Turner for your weekly audio source of all things Dream Star Fighting Marigold. I'm back from my week's vacation. Mr. Matt Turner, first of all, thank you for steering the ship solo. Massively appreciate that. Whilst I got my raise and apparently didn't get a tan at all from the way I look on camera, but there we are. And also, how the devil are you?
Great, buddy. Great as always. Super busy in the best way possible. Shoot job is super busy. Pizza job is super busy. And obviously, the podcast, just we're ramping things up. Obviously, on the stardom side, we're just about at the tail end of this fantastic 5-star Grand Prix. We're kind of in the middle of the Dream Star from Marigold. And then just a lot of great stuff on Patreon. Talk Joshi, I'll be recording later this week with Andy Header. We'll be reviewing the Sendai Girl show from 2 weeks ago, as well as some stuff from Tokyo Joshi Pro. We've had some requests from you fantastic listeners to review some matches from the, I believe it's called the Princess of Princess Cup. So maybe a little
Tokyo
more
Princess Cup.
Tokyo Princess, yes. It's
there you go.
I'll eventually get it. But we've got a lot more requests to review some TJPW. So ask and sometimes you shall receive. So busy on all fronts in the best way possible. And then the NFL and college football starting up in just about a week's time. So exciting things going on just everywhere in the world. But brother, I'm glad that your vacation was well. And then you're almost on another mini vacation this week. You're heading on to AEW, not once but twice, my man. So exciting things for one, Mr. Rob Goodwin.
I am indeed. I'm going to Glasgow. Is that how? I don't know if that's how you pronounce it. Glasgow, without the accent. My friend is from Glasgow, and he pronounces it in a different way, and I can never get the pronunciation right. But I'm going to Glasgow anyway tomorrow. Haven't got my train sorted back, so might be stuck in Glasgow. But yes, I'm going for the Dynamite and Collision taping as the go home to Forbidden Door, and then obviously with Forbidden Door being in the UK this year at the O2 Arena in London, I'll be going down on Sunday for that. Saying to you just before we went on air, I'm going to attempt to do a same day train and go there and back. It does entirely depend on what time AEW finishes, because I believe the last train to my neck of the woods is 9:20 our time, which is, I think, cutting it a little bit fine, in which case I will have to source a place to stay. But yes, it's going to be exciting. It's going to be a busy week. Obviously, we're going to be reviewing the two Dream Star shows from this past weekend on the 16th and the 17th, including Mai Sakurai's homecoming show, the Marigold debut of Maya Yukihi. We're also going to talk about some of the Dream Star matches that took place, including a fantastic match between Mai Sakurai and Kazuna Tanaka, and just another nail in my predictions coffin. We're also, obviously, this week going to be talking about the 5-star Grand Prix quarterfinals and playoff show, which is happening tomorrow as we record on Wednesday. So we'll have that up for you later in the week. We'll also, all being well, have the final of the 5-star, which happens on the 23rd of August. We're either going to have that down for you on either Saturday or Sunday. Fingers crossed, subject to change. In the great words of Matt Turner, it is pro wrestling after all, so who knows? But yes, Matt, obviously, a couple of things I just want to talk to you about. Obviously, you did the show solo last week, so we haven't had a chance to talk about the two shows that I missed. But two really good shows from Marigold, and a fantastic match between Victoria Yuzuki and Seri Yamaoka. Victoria Yuzuki in particular really seems to be leveling up at the moment.
Yeah, her, Seri, and Utami seem to be the front runners as far as MVP goes. And it kind of, you may as well touch upon it right here. It's kind of like when Marigold first started, we knew Utami was going to be the ace because the two big stars were Utami and Julia. We know Julia was there to help build up Marigold, and then she was going to be off to WWE. So we knew Utami was going to be the cornerstone. Obviously, they did a great job with her chasing Sari, won the belt, and one of the best matches in Marigold's short history at the beginning of this year. Now it just seems to me, now that Mayu is there, even though Utami is your red belt champion, all the attention's on Mayu. And it seems to me, Rob, that ever since this Dream Star started, that Utami was like, I'm going to have a chip on my shoulder. and I'm going to blow everybody else out of the water. It really seems like the only other two people, in my opinion, as we're a handful of matches into the Dream Star that are even in her league as far as match quality goes, is Seri and Victoria Yuzuki. And that's not indicative on the rest of the field. Rhea Sato's having great matches. Obviously, Mayu's having great matches. Kazuna Tanaka is having great matches. But it really seems like, to me, Utami is like, no, I'm going to show everybody that I am the true ace of this company, regardless of anybody else coming in. So, I mean, that's what it seems like to me. How about to you, good sir? Does it seem like Utami, she's always a phenomenal wrestler, one of the best wrestlers on the planet. It really she seems like she's taking this Dream Star to put her foot down, like, no. This is my company. I am the red belt champion.
Yeah, Utami's an interesting one because I constantly feel, especially recently, that she is in a constant state of looking to prove herself, which is wild because she's a phenomenal wrestler, has aura for days. But yeah, I can see where you're coming from. Obviously, when she was the World of Stardom champion, there was a sense of having to prove herself. And then obviously now she's the Marigold world champion, and there's a sense of having to prove herself, which often brings out the best in Utami Hayashishita, and it's good to see that she's not backing down from a challenge. But yeah, you're absolutely right, especially with Mayu. And she did an interview when Mayu joined about Mayu's desire to be a Grand Slam champion. And Utami was basically, if I can paraphrase, saying that yeah, it's great that Mayu's here. Absolutely, she's a superstar, but you don't just waltz into the company that I've been part of for a year. I've been spearheading for a year. I'm here as well, and I think we are going to be looking at something down the line with that sort of backstory involved. Obviously, as we record, we are, I think, about 10 days away from Mayu Iwatani versus Utami at Korakuen Hall. I think that's the 30th of August. So that's very exciting as well. Victoria Yuzuki and Seri Yamaoka, completely agree with you. They haven't missed in any of their matches. And I put this on Twitter again. I feel like I say it a lot. But with the likes of Victoria Yuzuki, who I mentioned before, has leveled up to a ridiculous degree. Seri Yamaoka, you've got Komomo Minami coming up, Rhea Sato, Kazuna Tanaka. There's so many people that are coming up that the future of Marigold is very, very bright indeed. And actually, that sort of parlays into something that I just wanted to very, very quickly talk to you about, because friend of the show, Sonny Gutierrez, put something on Twitter. And I wanted to get your opinion on this because it's something that I hadn't necessarily thought about. And then, especially as I watched the show from Shibuya, the 17th, I watched it with this in mind, and actually he's got a very good point. So he put on Twitter something very exciting is that since training with Coach Kondo began, obviously we now know that Marigold have opened their own dojo and have got a head trainer in Kondo. The quality of Marigold matches, notably the opening matches, is rising considerably. Is that something that you've noticed as well in these openers?
Real quick, Rob, you talked about the dojo. We need to get in depth. We need to know if that dojo's being cleaned. Because we know,
agreed.
yes,
Absolutely. We don't want another feud. We don't want another feud.
Yeah, so we'll try to find out. Here at the Marigold Standard, we get the dirt. See what I did there, Rob?
Love it. Love it.
I watched I've noticed over the past 3 or 4 shows that the opening matches have been really, really good. And then it was like 2 days later. And obviously you weren't here for last week. As you mentioned, I did the podcast solo, but you were there to bounce, this back. And I was like, wow, these opening matches have been really good. And it was 2 or 3 days later, Sonny tweeted something out that, yeah, it's the training, it's the fundamentals, it's the footwork, it's the timing, it's the ring position, it's all the little things like that really make a good match great and a great match excellent because of the pieces are all fitting together. So it's like, yeah, I noticed that over the last handful of shows. And then when Sonny pointed that out, I'm like, that's what it is. It's all about training. It's all about doing things behind the scenes when the people aren't looking, putting in the hard work, or as you say, Rob, going the hard yards when nobody is looking. So clearly this dojo that's only been open a month, 2 months, is proving its weight in gold. Pun intended. I didn't mean to do that. Pun intended. Already, and we're going to be talking about it because we obviously we reviewed these 2 shows. We're going to be talking about, and hopefully not jinxing, another winning streak that looks to be back, Rob Goodwin. But these opening matches are fantastic. And I always say, if you're not in the main event, or if you're not in a big prominent match on a show, you always want to be first because one, you're the match that sets the tone. The crowd is always really amped up for match one because they're excited. They're waiting for the doors to open. That match one always wants to set the tone. And just giving our own experiences, Rob, I can even say just at WrestleMania night 2, they set that tone with that Io versus Rhea versus Bianca match because everybody was all amped up. And then we got, in my opinion, the best match of the entire weekend in Las Vegas. So that match number one always is going to set the tone. I've been mentioning time in and time out on any podcast that I'm on, you always want to start with a hot opener. Marigold really, these last 2 or 3 months are showing up with really hot openers, and they're doing it with the younger talent. Like we know we're going to get a new Tommy and a Mai Sakurai, and they're all going to have great matches. But these opening matches with the younger talent, doing a great job, really, really getting the crowd warmed up for the rest of the fantastic card. So, great job on everybody in Marigold, the trainers, anybody that's helping with anything out, especially the talent. Because as I said before, they're the ones that are busting their asses to get the product better. And by the product, I mean not just Marigold, but the product that is Hummingbird, the product that is Naoya Ishikawa, the product that is Nagisa Takabana, because they're products of the Marigold system. And clearly the Marigold system, even though it's only a few months in its infancy as far as the dojo goes, it's clearly working, Rob, and it's only going to get better.
Yeah, obviously Yuki Yamazaki and Shino are two other examples of the youth in Marigold they're going to benefit massively. And obviously there is a direct correlation between Hummingbird's winning streak and bringing in Coach Kondo. So that must be what it is. Anyway, let's talk a little bit about the news. Not a great deal to come out of Marigold this week. One thing that I do want to talk about, and I know this is something that you spoke about last week, Matt, but it's something that obviously we haven't had a chance to talk about yet. And that is the 5-on-5 elimination match between Marigold and Marvelous that happened on the 8th of August. Marigold getting a much, much needed win because they have been sitting very comfortably in second during this feud to Marvelous. And going in, you knew that this was going to be a must win for Marigold on Marvelous's turf, so to speak. And not only did they win, it was an absolutely dominant performance by Marigold to such an extent that Komomo Minami didn't even make it into the ring.
That I didn't know.
Is wild.
That I didn't know. I did read, again, for anybody that listened to my solo episode last week, I did read your note, literally word for word, your notes, and thanks. But even though you weren't here, you were here. You know what I mean? And one thing there was 2 things that would really impress me. One, that Komomo Minami was one of the survivors. I didn't know until you just said she didn't even get in the ring.
Nope.
But the one thing I do want to point out, Miko Ano eliminated 3 wrestlers. There's 2 wrestlers she pinned and 1 wrestler that she went to a time limit draw. So she eliminated almost 60% of the field on her own. So I did not know that Komomo Minami did that. What a payday. What a payday. Just sit on the apron and watch. And speaking of watching, if you're watching on YouTube, let's give it up for the Victoria Zuki, as we always do. But the fact, if you look at this picture, she's the only one that is looking at the proper camera person. As you see, like when Tommy's looking away, Komomo Minami's looking away, Seri Yamaoka is looking at the different camera person. She's winking into the camera, Rob. So she knows she is photo ready. Always ready, Matt
of a star.
Absolutely. Always ready, Matt Cardona. No. I think it's always ready, Victoria Zuki.
Really interesting that they went this route. Obviously, at the moment now with this victory, Marvelous are still 8-5-1 in this feud. But the dominance of this match could arguably lead to something of a momentum shift. But the thing I wanted to bring up to you was Komomo Minami, because she wasn't used. And during the post-match press conference, she was not a happy bunny. Now, she wasn't doing anything overtly, but there was a sour look on her face. Now, there's a reason that this has been booked in this way. You know, there's no point where Marvelous and Marigold have sat down and said, how are we going to block this match? Well, how about we just don't use Komomo Minami because banter? Okay, there is a reason that she hasn't been utilized. And both me and you have been full of praise for for the incredible development of Komomo Minami, to such an extent, actually, that Mayu was getting annoyed on the Shibuya show because Komomo Minami was getting bigger cheers than she was, which is wild. So where are we going with this? Because it's been brought up a couple of times, whether it's backstage segments or whether it's just on Twitter, on social media. There's a reason they've done this. That there has to be. There's no way they take Komomo Minami, get her in a ring gear, and then go, psych, you're not actually going to get in the ring. I mean, there is an argument that they're doing this to showcase the dominance of Marigold, at least in this match anyway. But for me, there's something going on, and there's a reason that not a realistic, like she's not good enough reason. Komomo Minami's phenomenal, but in kayfabe, there's a storyline there, and I'm intrigued to know what your thoughts are, because obviously you didn't know that Komomo Minami did make it into the ring, so this is a complete new thing for you. But I'm intrigued to know where you think this could possibly go.
The first two things I think of, Rob, and I don't think that they're right, but I mean, the first two things that I think of when that happens is, number one, she's injured or she has an injury. Clearly not, because she's been wrestling, 8, 10, 11 minutes. So clearly, she's fine. Because I've been in matches before where it's just like, hey, this person's a little bit banged up. No problem. Let's switch this. Instead of a singles, let's do a 6-person, 8-person, do a little bit, boom, boom, boom. Clearly, that's not the case. Not that we know of. Now, maybe did she get to the ring and was she working out, maybe sprained something, or did that? It's a small possibility, but I'm going to say no. That's literally the first thing that came into my head, is maybe she was injured. That's not. 2, turn her heel, because we saw it with kind of with Rhea Sato, but at the same time, you just mentioned, buddy, she's getting loud. She's getting chance over Mayu. So that would not be the way to go. But clearly, even if that's the idea, like, let's get her really upset and have her turn her heel and go with Darkness Revolution, and that'd be pretty fun. But clearly, it's just like, if that's what they had in mind, let's pump the brakes on that, because we have a super mega over babyface. My guess is she shows frustration, and that I didn't get into the Dream Star. The fact that now you can throw on the added thing that Sanka was supposed to be in the Dream Star. We mentioned it 2 weeks ago. Sanka sick, and then from what I understand, she's doing better, and thank God for that. And that Maria got put in for, well, what about me? What about Komomo? What about Raven? What about me?
Raven.
But yeah, it's very interesting, considering that fact she's not in the Dream Star. We kind of figure that after the Dream Star, they're going to have big plans for her. She's getting wins. She's getting louder cheers than Mayu, which is wild. And now you're throwing this angle in there. My guess is you're going to see her maybe step up to a Mayu, step up to a Mai Sakurai, step up to a Miko Ano, step up to an Utami, and have a big singles match in a Korakuen Hall or something like that. Now, is she going to win? No. Is she going to gain a lot of people's respect? Yes, not just in the crowd, but in the locker room as well. So clearly they do have plans for her. And again, I'm looking at this picture. She looks kind of annoyed as well. And again, I didn't know it until you told me. I'm looking at this picture. I'm like, look at Always Ready Victoria Zuki, the only one that's looking at the right camera person. But Komomo Minami, as I just mentioned, I had no idea that she didn't get in this ring. She looks annoyed here at this photo. So clearly this is something interesting, because coming into this Dream Star, coming off it, we're going to be talking about obviously Utami. We're obviously going to be talking about Mayu. We're obviously talking about Mai Sakurai. We're obviously going to be talking about where they're going with Grand Destiny, with the fact that WWE running a show a week before in the same building. Now, Rob, even though she's not even in the Dream Star, we're going to be talking about Komomo Minami quite a bit, because clearly they have plans for her. What they are, we don't know, but something that we're definitely going to be watching to. And there's something that I think that we need to talk about each and every week. But yeah, that's really interesting stuff, my friend.
Moving on to just the last bit of news that we're going to be talking about today is that Mayu Iwatani yesterday, as we record, became a hometown exchange ambassador for her hometown in Mine Yamaguchi. Now, on top of this, she was appointed as a one-day chief by the Mine police station chief. And she did things like guided children in traffic safety and things like that. And it looks like she had a tremendous time. I know that her grandma came out and watched her. She said that she doesn't watch her wrestle because she's scared of her getting hurt. She had her brothers there. She had her mum there. It was a really good time for Mayu, which, considering obviously she's lost her dad very recently, having that family around and doing something like this, I imagine, was really, really nice for her. What I did want to bring up is she did this talk for the children, and I think it was a drunk driver. She was talking about how to tackle a drunk driver and basically put on a wrestling match with this dummy that was supposed to be a drunk driver, including pinning it and the dummy kicking out at 2. So it turns out that you can take the wrestling, you can take Mayu out of wrestling, you just can't take the wrestling out of Mayu. It looked like she had an absolute riot, and someone has put together a compilation. I wish I'd got the photo for you. Someone's put a compilation together of all of the different facial expressions Mayu was pulling during this, and there's about 20 of them. It looked like she had an absolute riot, Matt.
Yeah, again, we don't have this confirmed, but there's a big rumor that there's a 12-car pileup where she was directing traffic. So whether that's confirmed, no, obviously I'm just joking. Obviously, we're having a little fun because we love Mayu. I think it's great that she's like educating the youth and inspiring the youth. Like, all joking aside, she's the biggest star in Joshi, since probably Io left in 2018. I don't think there's a bigger star 2019, from 2019 until now, then Mayu, obviously megastar, has her own movie out on her, and the fact that she's using her celebrity status for good, which we know obviously that she would. That always warms my heart. It's always great to give back to the kids and maybe inspiring some of the youth, Rob. Going, maybe it's just like, wow, I watched this Mayu Iwatani that I just watched a movie on, with my family or my parents or my friends, and now she's beating up a dummy. But yet the dummy's still kicking out at 2. So I'd like to know, Bob, you by chance, not to put you on the hot seat, what move Mayu hit on said dummy that the dummy kicked out at 2 for him?
I don't. I don't know whether she just took it down and pinned it, but in my head, in full police gear, Mayu hit the moonsault. That's what I really want to happen.
I thought it'd be the dragon soup. I think it's the dragon suplex, or if it's the moonsault, did she do it off a desk? Because it's probably not in a ring.
Incredible stuff.
And then she broke the computer of the teacher. He comes in the next day, like, what happened? I was like, shh, kayfabe, kids, kayfabe. But she's teaching kayfabe to the kids. Oh, honestly, that's great. I mean, I love seeing things like this where professional wrestlers are taking their celebrities and giving back to the community, whether it's the kids in the schools or anything, autograph sessions, things like that. That's all stuff that I love to see. So good on Mayu and good on Marigold on getting Mayu out there, a little bit more to educate the youth and on, drunk drivers and stuff like that. And it's really, really good to see. So yeah, good on everybody on that one.
Yeah, absolutely. And Mayu has got a homecoming show coming up, I believe, on the Burning Heart tour. I think the next tour is called in October. So we will see her in Yamaguchi in October again, and it will be great to see some of the kids that she was teaching to come and see her. I think it'll probably be in KDDI Ishin Hall, which is where they run with Stardom. I'd love to be able to compare the numbers to that.
The one thing I'm worried about, though, buddy, is Mayu in the bus. Last time we saw Mayu in the bus, that she corrupted Komomo Minami to jump off it. I don't want to see these little kids. All of a sudden, in the middle of match, these kids are jumping off the bus because our hero Mayu did it.
Imagine the scenes. With that being said, let's kick straight into the first of our 2 show reviews. We're going back to the 16th of August. Speaking of homecoming shows, this was the homecoming show for the Lady of the Ring, Mai Sakurai, 16th of August 2025 from the Ichikawa City Cultural Hall. The announced attendance was 410, which Marigold announced as a complete sellout. It's Mai Sakurai's first homecoming show in Marigold. It's the first time the company has actually run the venue in Chiba. Now, Matt, really unique setup for this show, with obviously you had the stage and then you had the tiered seating. What were your thoughts on that? It took a little bit of getting used to, because obviously the way the ring was set up, you had one row of people on the side the hard cam was facing, and then obviously the hard cam side had the tiered seating all the way up to the back. I actually really quite liked it. It was a unique venue. It had a unique feel to it, and the way that they incorporated the actual stage, because this obviously is some sort of entertainment venue. The fact that they incorporated the stage into different things, whether it's the count out for Mirai, whether it's Utami failing to navigate steps, all of those different things. What were your thoughts on the venue?
They've ran this venue before, haven't they? Because I remember this setting. I remember.
Right. Thank you. I thought they'd run this as well. Can I find any record of it? No. I was convinced they'd run this venue because I recognized it. And then I was like, well, did Stardom run this venue? Someone has run this venue. Someone has definitely run this venue, haven't they?
Not unless it was a different setup, because I remember right before Koki got injured, because there was a main event where it was Utami, Koki, and a random rookie, like maybe Komomo Minami or Minami Yuki. And I'll have to look at my Marigold.
I remember Seri Yamaoka and Nanae Takahashi coming out.
Yeah, because I remember Sakurai.
Bloody knew it. I knew I wasn't going crazy.
Well, you are. You podcast with me at least twice a week, so you got to be a little nuts in the best way possible. But I remember when Sakurai and Minami Yuki, when they came out to at the top, that's when Utami. It was a 6-person tag. It was Utami, Koki Amare, and some random rookie versus I think like Bozilla, like the Darkness Revolution Army, like Team Bozilla. And I remember because Utami was champion, or she just came off the Dream Star. Winning the Dream Star, and I remember that Koki was getting a bigger reaction on their entrance than Utami. It was like, ooh, things are afoot here for Koki Amare, and then she wound up getting injured. But I think it was sometime last year that they ran this event. I think they ran it more than once because it's it's a setting that you remember, like KBS Hall. Like it's a setting that you remember because you only have the two.
It's so unique. Yeah,
because you only have the 2 stages set up. You don't on that side, and then you have the stage, and then you have the way that it goes up, almost like a theater, pretty much. That's what maybe it's used for. It could be used for it reminded me almost like a smaller version of my high school. If you do remember, Rob, at a Q&A that we did a few years ago, we did a wrestling thing for my high school talent show where I played New Jack, because when you think of 125-pound Matt Turner, you think of, oh, yeah, that screams New Jack. So, but that's the way that this setup it looks. It looks like a high school theater.
There's no record of it on Cage Match. I do not understand. No. I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen. This isn't going to make for interesting podcast listening, but I am absolutely, and I know that there is someone absolutely screaming at their whatever it is, car radio or whatever the people are listening to this on, and I know they're screaming at me, telling me that it's such and such a show. But Cage Match has no record of any happening at Ichikawa for Marigold at all. And I know for a fact that it happened. So we are going to find out. We are going to so let's have a look. Marigold Ichikawa 2024. Let's see.
Here we go, folks. Right on air. This is what we're learning. Oh, look at that. I see his eyes. I can see it. I think he found something.
So we've got the Fantastic Adventure Tour. Was it Fantastic Adventure?
It could be it. Like Coolio. Fantastic.
No.
What was it? Fantastic Voyage? Slide, slip and slide. Do.
You're right.
Hey, I'm just vamping. You know what I mean? No, I'm not.
You carry on vamping. You carry on vamping, because I swear to God I'm going to find this. Right. I'll tell you what, ladies and gentlemen, what we'll do is I'll read through the results. And then as Matt is talking,
there we go. These matches,
I love it. I will continue looking, because genuinely, I'm not going to be able to let this go. Anyway, this show, 410, a sellout, great venue setup. The results for this show: 3-way match. Komomo Minami defeated Nagisa Takibana and Yuka Yamazaki. Minami pinning Yuka Yamazaki with the Komomo clutch in 9 minutes and 24 seconds. In a 6-woman tag team match, Darkness Revolution, rocking some rather fantastic new shirts. The team of Misa Matsui, Chiaki, and Ria Sato defeating Chika Goto, Kazuna Tanaka, and Minami Yuki. Misa Matsui pinning Minami Yuki with the Misa Kawai driver in 10 minutes and 50 seconds. 6-woman tag team match. The Mayu Iwatani, Shino, and Victoria Yuzuki team defeated Megaton, Now Ishikawa, and Hummingbird. Shino, the latest to submit Megaton Megaton with the Scorpion Deathlock in 12 minutes and 12 seconds. Won't be the last time we're talking about submissions and Megaton on this podcast. The next is a Dream Star Grand Prix Star League match with Nagisa Nozaki moving to 6 points, defeating Mirai, who stays on 3 via countout for the second tournament in a row, using countouts to stymie Mirai's tournament. That took place in 11 minutes and 11 seconds. Next came up a Dream League match, Utami Hayashishita moving to 6 points, defeating Seri Yamaoka with 4 points. Utami hitting the hijack bomb in 11 minutes and 3 seconds. And then in your main event, the team of Mai Sakurai and Maya Yukihi, making her Marigold debut, defeated the team of Mika Wano and Koki Yamare. Mai Sakurai utilizing the running powerbomb onto Koki Yamare in 15 minutes and 14 seconds. And there's a reason she utilized that move, Matt, and we'll talk a little bit about the Jumbo Princess a little bit later on. But we move to our first match, going all the way back, and with what Sonny said on Twitter sort of in our minds, the three-way match, I think, was the perfect encapsulation of that improved wrestling dynamic we have in the openers.
Yeah, and again, three-ways are tough to do, especially when you have the, again, these ladies. You got Komomo Minami's only been wrestling a little over a year. Nagisa Takabana is coming up on her year anniversary, and Yuka about 4 or 5 months. So it's just like, oh, this is going to be kind of tricky to do, not unless you do the thing where one person pitches the outside and you kind of have 2 singles matches, but they really went at it in this one. You can tell this was a match and stuff that they were definitely training at the dojo, and they were definitely probably getting ideas from a Mayu and Utami and Nanae, so on and so forth, because everything here was great, especially the timing, the footwork, the ring positioning, which again, when you have a multi-person match, if one thing is just a half a step off, or a half a second too late or too early, it's the domino effect. It can really affect the flow of the match, and that's in it all. This was a darn near perfect three-way match to open up. You have almost like a Superfly style, like the junior style, to start this match between the three. Really great stuff back and forth. All three of them, they really, really shine in that high-speed style, the junior style or the Superfly style, as it's known in Marigold. I thought that was great. Yuki Yamazaki, she basically channels her inner Kenta Kobashi with the machine gun chops, and she does them really well. The placement in the match, how it gets built, and basically Komomo and Nagisa selling for it. I would like to see Yuka use those machine gun chops in her matches more often, because it really fit her and who she is in the ring. So I thought that was really great stuff there. Komomo comes back with a big drop kick, and then Nagisa comes in with forearms. So I like how we're establishing strikes here early on in the match. Again, Yuka with the forearms, Komomo with the drop kicks, Nagisa with the Yuka with the chops, Komomo with the drop kicks, and Nagisa with the forearms. So now, as we're kind of in the middle of this match and starting to build towards our crescendo for the finish, each one of these ladies have established a certain strike in their arsenal. So great storytelling there. Komomo hits a big DDT on the Yuka for a 2 count, and then we get a 3-way forearm exchange. Yuka hits the Twist of Fate on Nagisa Takabana, but that gets broken up. And then Komomo Minami basically doing the Blade Runner off the ropes, very similar to the Liv Morgan Oblivion. I thought that was terrific. That scored to a 2 count. And then we get some roll-ups back and forth, and then it's the Komomo clutch catching Yuka for the 3 count. I thought this was great. I mentioned a few minutes ago, partner, when you starting off your shows, you want to start off with a hot opener. This was a red hot opener. The future is so bright for young Marigold, especially these 3 fantastic wrestlers. 3 3/4 stars. Great way to start off this show, buddy.
Agreed. Very good match. Currently on my search for this show that I know exists, there's no record at all of Marigold ever running Ichikawa before. Whenever you type in Ichikawa on the Marigold Joshi Twitter page, all that comes up is the latest show. There's nothing on Cage Match having run from this venue. I know it happened, ladies and gentlemen. I know it happened. I know I'm not just having a fever dream.
I will go through my old school notebooks, buddy, because I know there was a 6-person tag. It was Utami, Koki Yamare, and a rookie versus, I'm almost positive it was the Darkness Revolution team. So it was like a Bozilla, Chiaki, and probably Nagisa. Because I don't think there was Megaton at that time. I will go, when we're done with this podcast, buddy, I will go through my tablets and I will get you the date. We're going to nail this down, buddy. We're going to nail this down. But if you want to continue your research and you want to just, fine, buddy. I got no problem. If you want to hit that next slide over to Ria Sato, Team Ria versus Team Chikagoto, I'll keep rocking and rolling, buddy. Because I know it's bothering you, but I will go through my tablets. This is why old school stuff works, my man. This is what it's all about.
The thing that annoys me is I've got all attendances for every single Marigold, well, the ones they release anyway, and I've got them all on a spreadsheet in front of me, and I don't have anything from Chiba or Ichikawa at all apart from this show.
Did they rename the town? Maybe is that what it is? They're trying to work you. They're trying to work you. They're trying to work you. That's what it is.
Anyway, let's talk. We'll talk about this.
Don't worry about it.
We know it happened. It's a sellout. That's all you need to know.
Uncle MT's got you.
Thank you, man. Moving on then. Oh, we've skipped ahead in a very weird way. Missed out the Ria Sato match. Anyway, Matt, the match between the Darkness Revolution, Misa Matsui Chiaki and Ria Sato versus Chikagoto, Kazuna Tanaka, and Minami Yuki. Your thoughts, my friend?
Really great stuff. I mean, this was smart putting the heel team over. I like how we're kind of mixing up all the members of Darkness Revolution Army. We're getting them over as heels. I do like the fact that we're bringing back the basically the Oedo Tai dance. We'll talk about that on the next show with Misa and Chiaki. Shirts, we're getting merch. So, we're definitely establishing them. It's only a matter of time before they have to establish some babyface factions. And we joke all the time with the ladyship and King's Journey and whatnot, but they have to start establishing some babyface factions at this point. Regardless, this match is great, really great. I'll start with Ria and Kazuna Tanaka. We've seen these two before. They have really great chemistry with Kazuna Tanaka, really great at the striking and the submissions, and Ria Sato, phenomenal counter submission wrestler. I thought it was a smart way to start off this match. Chikagoto looked terrific. Her and Chiaki, excellent stuff back and forth between the two of them. And then Minami Yuki, Misa Matsui, they kind of paired off as well. Again, it's just really great stuff. We're seeing Chiaki and Misa Matsui, they're really starting to gel really well as a tag team, almost as good, if not better, than Nagisa and Chiaki, which is really just upping Chiaki's stock. I thought she's really having a great tournament thus far in the Dream Star. Again, she brought back the Iron Claw. She won a match with the shout out to the late great Chris Candido, the Spring Lake Jam, top rope leg drop, or shout outs to the late great Bobby Eaton with the Alabama Jam. So I like that we're putting more moves into her arsenal. And again, she's doing really well as a singles wrestler, as a multi-person wrestler, and really great, Rob, teaming with not only Misa Matsui, but Nagisa Nozaki as well. And even with Ria Sato, they seem to really have great chemistry. So Chiaki's doing a great job rounding out her entire arsenal. My main thing is she brought back the Iron Claw, and I think that's the reason why, buddy. I think that's the reason why. Eventually, I like the pairing with Misa and Minami Yuki. Minami Yuki, once she finally slows down Psycho Speed Misa Matsui, she locks in that hammerlock guillotine, which I really liked. Goto, Minami Yuki, we get more great teamwork, Rob. We seem to be talking about this each and every week for the last 5 or 6 weeks. Chikagoto, Minami Yuki are getting more and more acquainted and better as tag team partners. And I'm really hoping that after the Dream Star, we get a push towards those Twin Star Tag Team Championships, because they're now they're great, but they're over. Like the whole Goto, Chika, Goto, and Yuki, that whole thing, that is wildly over. It's over. And they're great as a tag team. And I don't see Chika Goto or Minami Yuki winning the red or white belt just yet. Maybe in a year or two, maybe positioned that way. So why not give them a run either at or win the Twin Star Tag Team Champions? Eventually, though, we get waterfall finishes. That leaves everybody out of the ring except for Misa Matsui and Minami Yuki. They kind of have a mini match there with Misa hitting the fantastic Misa Kawaii driver for the 3 count. 3.5 stars for me, my friend. Thoroughly enjoyed this one.
I think as well what we need to bring up, Matt, is that a wild Nanae Takahashi appeared in the crowd and was injecting passion into both Chikagoto and then Misa Matsui as well. So it's nice to see that Nanae is still attending different shows, though of course we know that she was there primarily for the celebration of Mai Sakurai's homecoming. But another great match. And again, what are your thoughts on the brand new Darkness Revolution shirt with the love in the middle of the word?
We're all just merchandising machines over there, the Darkness Revolution Army. Now, the only thing is they missed a lot of money by kicking Megaton out, because then you can have on the back of these said shirts, you can have the Megaton face paint. If you remember, the hottest selling shirt in the history of WCW was the NWO shirt. And then they put the 6-pack basically billiards ball on the back. And those actually outsold the regular NWO shirts because they were the same price, just with an extra graphic. So if they would have done that, kept Megaton in and maybe another few months, buddy, put that Megaton face paint on the back. I mean, it's just printing money and then a license to print more money, buddy.
I mean, that's what we all want. That's what we all want. We'll have to invest in some.
Speaking of Megaton, Rob Goodwin.
There you go, ladies and gentlemen. Again, it does feel harsh utilizing a submission move when you know that Megaton is going to tap out. And she was confronted by Mika Wano after the next match, or after the next show, sorry, about her ability and resilience to hold on. But otherwise, again, we sort of brought up the youth of Marigold and how the future is very, very bright. And again, we had two examples of that in Victoria Yuzuki and perhaps more impressively, Shino, who I keep having to remind myself is only 15 years old. Is she 15 or is she 16? She's 16 now, isn't she? Which is just, it's wild how naturally gifted this girl actually is.
Yeah, and I liked how, like, obviously her and Megaton started out, or they kind of were basically the main fake focus in the first early stages of this match. And Megaton doing her comedy stuff, and Shino knew how to play into it. You know, for somebody only 16 years old, and you could teach the moves and stuff like that, and the psychology eventually gets there, and she's great with the moves. And yeah, obviously she's going to have elder statesmen in the ring to help her and put together the match. You know, the Mayus, the Masakurais, the Utamis, the Nanaes, especially at this show because she was there. But like doing the comedy stuff, sometimes it can kind of fall flat. And I thought she really sold it and worked really well at Megaton. I thought it was really fun stuff. For me, Rob, I want to see a Hummingbird versus Mayu match. It just really seemed like Hummingbird was just like, okay, like this is kind of the style that I pattern my wrestling ability off as Mayu Iwatani. It's Mayu Iwatani, in my opinion, the greatest in-ring Joshi of all time, very much in her prime. And Hummingbird really stepped up to the plate here. She really, really did. Obviously, Victoria Yuzuki was great. But just, you look at this. You have Shino, who is the future of pro wrestling. And then you have Yuzuki, who is, again, crushing it at this 5-star Mayu. I mean, we sing the praises all the time. And then on the other side, you have poor Megaton, poor Hummingbird. Even though, Rob, we'll talk about Hummingbird getting another win, and now Ishikawa. Now was great. Her stuff with Mayu was terrific. Her stuff with Victoria Yuzuki's great. I think now Ishikawa is somebody that they may have missed the ball on a little bit, Rob, with some of that stuff in Corkin about a year or so ago, because she was getting some of the biggest reactions, and they kind of didn't do anything with her. They allegedly put her in the Gene Simmons Kiss makeup and made her Gigaton, which was funny.
Again, just allegedly. We don't want to run into any legal troubles. Come on.
Yeah. It's basically with the Clark Kent Superman, Peter Parker Spider-Man. We don't know. But regardless, I think now Ishikawa is somebody that once this Dream Star is over, they need to take a look back into to give somebody a push up to maybe the middle of that card, because she's fantastic. She really is. Ultimately, though, this was a really fun match. You kind of knew it was going to happen. Shino puts in the Scorpion Deathlock. Megaton powers out. No, that did not happen. Did not happen.
He powers out, one-arm powerbomb, suicide dive, incredible. You wouldn't believe it if you didn't see it, but it happened.
It does. I think we're going to start giving fake results here. No, Shino obviously forced her to tap out. Fun enough match. 3.5 stars for me, buddy.
We move on then to our first of the Dream Star matches we're going to be talking about. Mirai staying on 3 points with a loss here to Nagisa Nozaki. And I can almost hear in my headphones Mirai fans screaming in anger about the result of this match. However, obviously, we are still in the midst of building Mirai up. And what I did like about this match, and obviously we can talk about the finish in a little bit. Once we got past the inevitable Darna's Revolution shenanigans that opened this match, we got a really, really fun little match that happened between the ropes. Obviously, then we had the count out with Nagisa Nozaki literally launching Mirai off the stage and then running back in to beat the 20 count. And what I will say about that is that was significantly better executed than the double count out between Suzu Suzuki and Hanako at Korakuen Hall. This was significantly better. So That being said, I don't know. I think I'm just being selfish, and I want a hard-hitting Mirai and Nagisa Nozaki match, one that I know we can get, and one that we sort of got between the ropes. I know that Nagisa is a heel, and I know that obviously you're going to get Darkness Revolution shenanigans, and I know that there is, this whole thing with Nagisa Nozaki, the trolley, Mirai, and those little bits there, and that's great. That it offers something different to a singles match. I just want to see these two literally beat each other up, because I know that they'd be so good at it, and it will be a great 15, 16-minute match, when we finally get that no nonsense singles match between these two.
You still had the majority, the heart of this match was a very hard hitting match. Like you did have
That's what I mean. That's what I mean. I know we know what they are capable of.
You want more of that. Okay, I
do.
understand. I think they went more for like a psychology boo yay, because Nagisa gets the jump on Mirai. She's the heel.
Sure.
Mirai's the babyface. Everyone was booing it in a good way. I'm not saying they were like, oh come on, you jumped your boo, and then Mirai makes her comeback. They're like, yay, because we know once Mirai gets going, boy howdy, a locomotion train won't be able to stop her. And that's basically what happens here. There's one spot on the outside, Rob. Again, they utilize the stage, like they utilize their surroundings perfectly on this venue, which we know they have ran before. As Rob is still looking, I can see the look in his eye.
Genuinely, I've gone through every show. They've never run it. I don't understand. I do not understand.
I'm going to get my tablet.
I know Seri Yamaoka was on that damn card, which means it was 2025, and I have got every show report and the Wrestle Universe graphic for every single show, and I can't. There's nothing for Ichikawa. Do continue.
Not unless there's the building that's similar to it. Anywho, so they're brawling on the stage, Rob, and then Nagisa's get the better of Mirai, and she has Mirai almost hanging off like the stage, and she runs out to like where the front row was, and then kicked Mirai. So it's like, oh, I really like that. So you kind of set the tone where it's just like, we're going to use our surroundings in this match. And then what's the finish? Mirai gets thrown off said stage, and Nagisa makes the count back. So I do like that finish. I agree. They're definitely a better match in them if they were like the bell to ring, lock up, and then they have a hard-hitting match. And Mirai really, we saw a little bit more of her submissions. Mirai's basically known for the double wrist lock, the mirror Mirai. That's like her go-to. We saw her kind of almost like almost Toryumon Dragon Gate style twist up Nagisa Nozaki in this, which I thought was really cool. We've really never seen that before, where she's chaining multiple submissions together. I thought that was great. Yeah, the heart of this match, which I agree, I wish we got more of, was the hard-hitting action between the two. Maybe, Rob, again, maybe some fantasy booking, when Mirai does win that United National Championship, that her and Nagisa Nozaki, they do have that 15, 16-minute match where it's just a little bit of the bending of the rules, because that's what Nagisa does, right? That's kind of her jam, but majority of it is that hard-hitting match, Rob. I still had it 4 stars. I still thought it was a really good match.
Yeah, it was a good match. And I probably should have prefaced everything I've said by saying it was a good match, but it's one that I found myself wanting more. And again, we have now Nagisa Nozaki having thwarted Mirai twice in consecutive Dream Stars. So there's certainly a story there. And obviously we know that Mirai was being bullied by the Darkness Revolution at the last Korakuen as well. So this is an ongoing thing. And you're absolutely right. If we do see Mirai dethrone Mai Sakurai, which I think both of us sort of have penciled in for Grand Destiny, then I think Nagisa Nozaki is the perfect first defense for Mirai, because again, if they have the style of match that Mai and Nagisa had at Korakuen, then that's going to be a really entertaining first title defense for Mirai. Moving on to our second and final Dream Star match of this show, Utami Hayashishita and Seri Yamaoka. Matt, you talked about Utami wrestling with something like a chip on her shoulder. Now, what I thoroughly enjoyed was obviously the crowd, very passion heavy, Nanae in attendance, and therefore, as Seri Yamaoka is the sort of passionate, the mini passion to Nanae's passion, there was lots of chants of passion. And there's a moment just before Utami gets the winning pin where she's hoisted Seri Yamaoka up into the hijack bomb, and the crowd is chanting passion. And she gives this wry smile to the crowd and then spins around and hits the hijack bomb. And it was honestly the coolest little thing I've seen. It was just like a proper, yeah, passion. I'll give you passion. Watch this. Pins her, 1, 2, 3, and then all of the aura is lost as she falls down the stairs.
Well, you know what happened. Mayu touched those. She touched those steps, so that's
There
what it
you go.
was.
Yeah, absolutely.
She Mayu those steps. Rob, you're absolutely right. It's the little things that just add to something. And again, this was a great match. The fact that they built up the hijack bomb because she tried for it 2 minutes earlier, and Seri was able to get out. And now, not only does she have her down, because I think she hit her with the lariat and the deadlift German. I mentioned all the time how that lariat, it's almost like Mayu's super kick. A lot of times, it doesn't matter who she's wrestling somebody faster, bigger, stronger. She just hits that one lariat and she can turn the momentum of the match around.
Absolutely.
And that's what she does. She hits the lariat that leads to the German suplex that allows her to hit that hijack bomb that she tried for 2 minutes earlier. And not only that, she knew she's smart enough. Obviously, it's Utami, one of the best wrestlers on this planet. She was smart enough to I'm going to get a little bit more out of this than I already got because they're chanting passion. And then she's just like, oh, yeah? Boom. Dropping Seri Yamaoka right in the middle of the ring.
Badass moment.
Rob, this so far is my second favorite match of this entire tournament, right behind Yuzuki and Utami. Again, Utami is just really, really next level at this point. I don't know. It's because, again, the chip on her shoulder. I don't know. It's because she won this tournament last year. I don't know if it's or the fact that she added in the long red hair again. She Natsupoi the hair, or the combination of all those. I don't know. But I mean, when Utami Hayashishita is like this, I mean, she's always a great wrestler, but she's like wrestling next level. She's one of my favorite wrestlers in all of wrestling to watch. She really is just another phenomenal match. This match starts out with some great ground wrestling, great stuff back and forth. Obviously, Seri, she's got that amateur background. Utami, she's got the judo background. So there was really great stuff there. Seri hits some forearms in a big air raid crash for a 2 count. Then Utami comes back. She hits some forearms. She's like, I've been doing the air raid crash back when you were in high school. Hits the air raid crash. So I like that, how they were kind of going back and forth with that. Really great stuff there. Seri hits a big spear and the gut wrench German suplex. I love that combination because psychology works.
It's so good.
And it makes sense because you're hitting the spear. What does it affect the midsection? The gut wrench German suplex, the gut wrench suplex. Not only when you land, are you landing on your side, but she's getting you in a gable grip, in an S grip. And where's that grip? Around the midsection that she just speared. So even on the grip, like if I'm calling it as an announcer, I'm playing up the fact that it's just even before you land, you're in pain because of the spear to the midsection and the grip, the S grip that she has around the stomach before she even landed. So I really like how she changed those two together. Seri escapes the hijack bomb, and then she just hits like a all Japan style Kings Road release German suplex onto Utami. So I like that how she gets out of a big German suplex. It looks like she's building up. Looks like she's going to get the biggest win probably the biggest win of her career. And the fact that she's going to be able to stamp that she defeated Mayu and Utami in the same tournament. And then what does Utami do? That desperation lariat, and Utami digs deep, hits the German suplex and the hijack bomb. This was a great 50-50 match. And we always say, Rob, one of the many great things about professional wrestling, that even if you lose, you win. Even though Seri lost here, this is one of the best performances of her young career, which is insane to say because she's still only a rookie. She's had great matches, both in tag and singles. Again, this was my second favorite match of the tournament, with the only one I liked a little bit better was Utami versus Victoria Yuzuki. In my opinion, Rob, as we're getting close to the halfway point. For me, it's Victoria Yuzuki, Seri Yamaoka, Utami, Yuzuki, Seri Yamaoka, and everybody else is playing catch up as far as match quality goes. And the matches have been great. Don't get me wrong. But to me, these three are in a league of their own. Again, 4.5 stars for me. This was absolutely fantastic. And the fact that there's a possibility, Rob, that they can run this one back a year, 2 years, 3 years from now, where it goes at 20, 30, 40 minutes, I'd be a happy MT, buddy. I'd be a happy little Matt Turner.
They're in a dream league of their own, some would say.
And the people keep on rocking.
Absolutely. Yeah, this was fantastic. Definitely one of the matches of the tournament. These two just had really, really good chemistry. And again, Seri Yamaoka only started wrestling at the start of this year. And I know that obviously she had that amateur background, but even with that, the way that she, especially recently, it's accelerated her real grasp of the nuances of pro wrestling. And like you mentioned, even that sort of putting together of the spear and that gut wrench German sort of showcases how she's able to put these matches together. And at 18 years old, it's crazy her ceiling. I think these two accent each other's strengths really, really well. I think the fact that Seri is able to deadlift Utami, it's a powerful visual. And the fact that she can do that to so many members of the roster makes her a really dangerous threat. The fact that she's already got that 2 points over Mayu from earlier in the tournament as well. Seri's going to have a tremendous end to this tournament, I have no doubt. Already have, to my mind, one of the best matches in the tournament against Victoria Yuzuki. Has had another one here against Utami. We were sort of told from the very outset, it was all of the branding was around Super Rookie. All of the branding was around how special this talent is. And I didn't envy her during her debut, because to come out to all that hype, there is an intense amount of pressure to live up to those standards. And I think she's done that, especially recently. The progress and the learning that is clearly taking place is truly a joy to behold. And I can't wait to see what she does in the next, I can't wait to be having this conversation with you again next year for the 2026 Dream Star Grand Prix, because no doubt there, Seri Yamaoka will be putting it all together in an even better match, which is, again, quite frightening.
One thing I do want to point out, and I apologize, Rob, I dropped my pen. It's like, where's Matt going? He fell off his chair. I dropped my pen. One thing
I thought you were just looking for that other match that took place at Ichikawa.
I have tablets here, and then I have tablets in the comic room that I literally just put in comic short box. I'm going to find that show, and I'm going to tell you what it is. And maybe it was we talked about that enough. We'll talk about it off air while you're looking for a train to go to AEW. The one thing that I think that we need to definitely take a closer look on, we know that, as you just mentioned, partner, Seri's going to have a great end of this tournament, but she's probably wrestled the three best wrestlers in this block already. So, and they've all been great matches: Mayu, Utami, Victoria Yuzuki. So it'll be interesting to see if she can still keep up that 4 to 4.5 star level the rest of the field. So that's one thing that we're definitely going to be looking out for.
Yeah, absolutely. Couldn't agree more. Let's move on to this main event then. And before we talk about Maya Yukihi, who, again, I have limited knowledge of, and we're going to talk about her aura and things like that, because in terms of aura, good God. But it was great to see Himeka in a wrestling ring again. Obviously, having retired in 2023, seeing her in a wrestling ring felt very right. And the fact that Mai Sakurai then paid tribute to Himeka by hitting the running powerbomb for the win, I thought was really nice. Although, I don't know if you saw this, they interviewed Himeka afterwards and said, "When did you teach Mai Sakurai the running powerbomb?" And Himeka just went, "She took it without asking and just did it." So there's that. So maybe this is the feud, Matt, the kernel that gets Himeka back into a wrestling ring. The fact that Mai Sakurai stole her finisher. Maybe. We can dream, can we not?
Well, let's dig a little bit deeper. Is there any other wrestlers in Joshi, especially Joshi promotions that we cover that use Himeka's finisher?
Megaton.
Yeah, the Himeka press.
The Himeka press. Yes. Well, Hanako had it bequeathed to her.
That's what I'm saying. And again, Hanako's in a faction with Micah, her former tag partner. So they're
all linked.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And I completely, when she hit the power bomb, and I was like, that's weird. Why would she do? I'm like, oh, you forget that Mai Sakurai 3 years ago was in DDM, because 3 years ago in DDM, you had Micah, Himeka, Shuri, Julia, Tekla, and Mirai just showed up.
It was such an overpowered faction.
Natsupoi, yeah. You remember Sakurai was in Cosmic Angels and then was just like, yeah, I want to leave because I don't want to dance anymore. Then I think Tam goes, well, when the ALK sisters team up, they dance for their entrance. Like, completely shot it down. It was like, you shouldn't even said anything, Tam. We didn't put yourself over. Anywho, I'm referencing something from 3 years ago on a random house show. Maya Yukihi, I don't know what happened, Rob, but if I was working with Marigold, when she cut that curtain after that match, I would have thrown a pen and a contract at her.
Do you know what? I'm glad you said that, because obviously I know that she is a freelancer and is pretty much booked on every Joshi show that isn't Stardom or Marigold at the moment in Japan. But yeah, just never mind cutting the curtain on the way back, mate. Cutting the curtain on the way out. Because again, like we talk often about aura, and we talk often about how, I believe the term the cool kids are using nowadays is aura farming. So there you go. A little
Really?
bit.
I think
Apparently,
I think my 12-year-old nephew is coming over for dinner, and I'm going to ask him if that's a thing.
ask him about it. Yeah,
And
ask
I'll
him
let you
about
know
it.
this way because we need to get hip too, Rob. You know what I mean?
Absolutely, absolutely. I can be hip. I can be groovy.
That's like the 80s.
Yeah.
Groovy Rob Goodwin, folks.
Absolutely, groovy Rob Goodwin.
GRG. There it is.
Oh, you can just imagine wrestling fans cheering that, can't you? GRG. What's that stand for, Rob? Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter what it stands for. Great, Rob Goodwin. Let's go with that.
Like the CM. We used to joke that the CM stood for Crooked Moonsault because
Crooked Moonsault. Yeah, absolutely.
And Cookie Monster, and then because we know that Punk was a big fan of The Simpsons, we thought we stands for Charles Montgomery, like Burns.
Charles Montgomery.
I think that cost me about 1,000 squats, but here I am 20 years later still talking about it. Anyway, everybody.
Worth it. Yeah, you look at the likes of an Utami, you look at the likes of a Mayu, you look at the likes of Sayaka Matani, and it takes a very special wrestler to have that aura that the moment they cut a curtain, you are instantly drawn to everything that they do. And Maya Yukihi is one of those characters, one of those people that the moment she comes out, you're just drawn to everything, the way she moves, the way she acts. And then, of course, she gets into the ring, and it does help that she's a fantastic wrestler as well. But just in terms of aura, there's that word again. She was phenomenal. And I completely agree with you. Completely agree with you. The moment she went backstage, if I was Rossi Ogawa and there was a deal to be done, I would be moving heaven and earth to be getting that deal done, because I think Maya Yukihi could be such an invaluable member of this roster. That aside, I thought her and Mai Sakurai as a team were phenomenal. And if the ladyship is to set sail, Maya Yukihi is the perfect person to put in there.
The perfect first mate, is that what they call it, Rob? Isn't that?
Oh,
I'm not a sailor.
Stop it, you!
Yeah,
oh
but
my god!
But I was watching Wedding Crashers the other day. If you remember, their vows are my first anywho. Jeepers creepers. So I liked how in the beginning Sakurai and Mayu Yukihi, they get the advantage early on and they go for the double paradise lock. And Mayu doesn't know how to put it on, and then Sakurai's like, "Let me show you how to do it." Like, so I thought that was really cool. I liked how Maya Yukihi is beating the crap out of Kokiyama just with those stiff kicks. And I think that she was out for a little bit with a knee injury. I think I saw that on social media. That I think she was out like 6 months with a knee injury. And she's just kicking the crap out of Kokiyama. I'm like, oh boy. Like, because I haven't seen her wrestle in a while. I'm like, this is like her first big show back on one of the bigger Joshi companies, obviously, Marigold. So it's like, wow, like she's ready to rock and roll. Whatever her injury was, she looks like $1 million. Obviously, the aura with the entrance was great. And then Miko Ano tags in. And you're like, oh yeah, you want to hit hard? And I know this is Sakurai's homecoming. We know that Kokiyama they have big plans for. This was all about those exchanges in the middle of the match with Miko Ano and Maya Yukihi. Like, she just snap nails her over and starts kicking the crap out of her. Mayu brings it back, and then Miko Ano's like, no problem. This is how it goes. I get a couple, you get a couple. And then she gets her in the corner. She hits the drop kick. Maya Yukihi, she takes the bump, and then she hits the Shibata. Miko Ano hits the Shibata style dropkick into the corner. Like, boy, howdy, that one had a little extra seasoning on it. Miko Ano, really great stuff. And then as we're building towards the end, it's all about, it's Mai Sakurai's homecoming. She's your United National Champion. It's all about really giving her that closing stretch, especially her and Kokiyama, really great chemistry. I wouldn't mind seeing that maybe run back for a United National Championship if that's a route they go. Really great stuff there towards the end, and then obviously Mai Sakurai, who does have a lot of finishes. Rob, she has the STK, she has the STF, she has the Shining Black. Obviously the Goodwin elbow drop, which she should be winning more matches with. Another story for another day. But actually hits the running power bomb onto Kokiyama. I was like, that's weird. Why would she? I was like, oh yeah, that's right. Himika's there. She hit the Jumbo Princess bump. I thought that was really cool, showing some love to our former stablemate over there in Donald Del Mundo. 3 3/4 stars. Again, an excellent match, Rob. But again, what everybody's talking about is Maya Yukihi. Not only that, but her exchange with Miko Ano. Hopefully that she gets brought back a little bit more. into the fold with Marigold because she has star power, she has aura, she's a fantastic wrestler. I think that her coming back from that injury, and again, I could be wrong, but I don't think I am, by her coming back from the injury and then her inserting herself in a red hot Joshi promotion that is Marigold, I think it's a perfect marriage for both Marigold and one Maya Yukihi.
Agreed. Completely agree. And I think something as well we need to point out, and I know it sounds like the smallest thing in the world over the course of this match and indeed this show. It's very impressive that Mai Sakurai is able to get Koki Amare up for this running powerbomb and to hit this running powerbomb. Because a running powerbomb on someone who is significantly taller than you are, which Koki Amare is to Mai Sakurai, is very, very impressive. It's difficult to do. So for her to do it and for her to do it as pretty flawlessly as she did, I think takes an incredible amount of core and upper body strength. So excellent work by Mai Sakurai. Just right. I don't feel like I've said this for a long time. If you'd have told me that I would be sort of gushing about Mai Sakurai 3 years ago, I'd have laughed in your face. I'd have laughed in your face and I'd have quit the podcast, Matt Turner.
And you would have done it. You would have done it in a groovy way.
I'd have done it in a groovy way. I'd have danced in a 70s style, sort of,
John Travolta.
Like that, just pieced out. Absolutely. Like John, I am often called the John Travolta of the Marigold standard. But yeah, again, just the progress she's made. We talk about people in the dojo and the youngsters in the dojo and the future in the dojo. But Mai Sakurai, the progress she's made is unreal. The way she's reinvented herself as this ladyship of the ring character is truly excellent. Really, really good work.
What do I always say, Rob? It's about putting the work in. It's about putting in the work in, the hard yards, the hard time, busting your ass when nobody's looking. Clearly, that's what she's done. It's not like she woke up one day and all of a sudden went from this like okay wrestler to this great wrestler. That didn't happen. It happened because she put in the work, and then Roxy gave her the ball, and she's been hitting a home run. She had the opportunity to go. That was probably in the year and a half that Marigold's been a company. That as much as we love what Mirai's doing and Utami's doing, and obviously Mayu just got there, but Yuzuki was a rookie. She's the one that has improved the most. She's the one that was like, okay, this is a company that I can go to where I can show just how damn good I am. And clearly she has done that, good sir.
Let's move on then to night 6 of the Dream Star Grand Prix from the 17th of August 2025. This was live on Wrestle Universe because we were coming from Tokyo, the Shibuya Ward Sports Center in Tokyo to be precise. The announced attendance, by the way, 308 people. There's no worry here, Matt, because we definitely know that Marigold have run this venue prior. This is the second time they have run the venue, with this being an 8.07% increase on the previous time at the venue, where they drew 285 on the 14th of October 2024. So in terms of the results, let's have a read through. We open with a tag team match. Naoya Ishikawa and Hummingbird defeating Nagisa Takibana and Yuki Yamazaki. Hummingbird pinning Yuki Yamazaki with a La Magistral cradle in 8 minutes and 23 seconds. Dream Star Grand Prix action from the Dream League. Maria moves to 4 points, defeating Ria Sato, who stays on 0 points with a modified head scissors in 8 minutes and 59 seconds. Tag team action next. The Darkness Revolution team of Chiaki and Misa Matsui defeated Miko Ano and Megaton. Misa Matsui submitting Megaton instantaneously with the crossface in 8 minutes and 5 seconds. Genuinely, if you haven't seen Miko Ano's backstage promo, brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Tag team action next. Mirai and Koki Amare defeated Chikagoto and Minami Yuki. Koki Amare pinning Minami Yuki in 11 minutes and 55 seconds. Our second Dream Star match, this time from the Star League, saw Mai Sakurai move to 6 points, defeating Kazuna Tanaka, who remains with 0 with the STK in 7 minutes and 56 seconds. And then in your main event, 6-woman tag action, Mayu Utami, Seri Yamaoka, and Shino defeated the team of Utami Hayashishita, Victoria Yuzuki, and Komomo Minami. Mayu Utami pinning Komomo Minami with the Dragon Suplex in 13 minutes and 48 seconds. Matt, again, we move to the opener, that tag team match. Another victory for Hummingbird. And maybe, just maybe, as I mentioned before, it took a head coach at the dojo to allow for Hummingbird to find her mojo if we're going to talk about being groovy?
I think that's like 5 out of the last 8 matches Hummingbird has picked up the win, or whatever team she was on picked up the win. So again, wow, I don't know if we're jinxing it, and then we'll find out if she goes 0 for 6 in the next month.
Absolutely.
So I mean, can we do a double jinx? If anybody's going to do it, it's going to be us, the grooviest people in Joshi
The
podcasting.
grooviest Marigold podcast you are likely to find.
Groovy for all of you Evil Dead fans. But again, another great tag match here. Again, Nagisa Takabana, she's just been absolutely crushing it. Absolutely another one that has like low-key aura. You can just see that, not low-key Thor's brother or former Ring of Honor World Heavyweight Champion low-key, but low-key aura, because she's really somebody that's coming into her own, her footing, her footwork, her timing, her ring positioning, her teamwork in these tag matches, whoever she's tagging with, has been really, really good. Now Ishikawa and Hummingbird, they're another tag team I would like to see get pushed up, maybe somewhere to the mid card, or maybe even challenge for those Twin Star Championships sometime in the fall, because we've seen them have really great chemistry as tag team partners, whether it's a straight up tag match or whether it's a 6-person or 8-person. They really seem to work well together, and they are over with the crowd. Everyone loves now Ishikawa. Hummingbird is really coming to her own as far as a fan favorite goes. I thought this was a really great match, especially towards the end with Hummingbird and Nagisa kind of having a mini match towards the end with Nagisa with the roll up. Really another solid opener, buddy. 3.5 stars for me.
Moving on then to the Dream Star Grand Prix. And it's funny, really, because Rhea Sato is packaged as the heel, undoubtedly, obviously being a member of Darna's Revolution. But with Maria, it was almost as though Rhea Sato was the default babyface, because the way Maria sauntered around the ring, especially in the early going, sort of almost mocking Rhea Sato, it felt like, again, Rhea Sato was that character from 6, 7, 8 weeks ago, that why meet babyface. And I thought what actually materialized was a very, very good match. Rhea Sato, despite the fact that she's 0-4 in this tournament and one more loss and she's gone. I mean, she's basically eliminated anyway, but again, one more loss and she is absolutely eliminated and will be the first one from the tournament. Has had really good matches. Her match with Mayu, really, really good. Her match here with Maria, really, really good. Because she's targeting those limbs, because she is focusing, and because she is adapting this submission arsenal that she's got, I think her matches are becoming really quite compelling. And I think she found a dance partner in Maria. And we don't talk about Maria enough as a singles competitor. Obviously, we were both full of praise for Riko Kawahata, but Maria has been doing some low-key, really good work in this tournament, despite her character being sort of quite obviously not giving a crap about this tournament or the fact that she's in it. The work that she's been doing has been brilliant. And again, the dueling submissions that sort of ended this match really did give me sort of a hidden gem somewhat in this tournament, because again, when we did our preview and when we did our sort of what matches we were looking forward to, I don't think anyone was sort of highlighting this match as must see. No disrespect, still meant to be the woman, but I think they actually did a tremendous job, and it's been honestly one of my most underrated matches of the tournament so far.
Yeah, this was a fun one. You mentioned you kind of have heel versus heel, but Maria is the heel outsider. So it's just like where it's like you're in a Marigold show, like Rhea, she's a heel, but she's our heel. Very much like we're seeing on the other channel with Stardom, where it's just like Sari is like the outsider, but like Momo, Kamatani, they're our heels. They're our heels. So
outsider heel trumps hometown heel, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, it's basically a hat on a hat. But anywho, so like so that's the psychology that you're looking for. It's like, okay, we got to have somebody over as a heel. Not only that, but Maria, she's a champion in this company, so you're throwing that on it. And she's the more seasoned veteran, so she's going to be the one that's going to take advantage of certain things when the ref's not looking. She knows more tricks of the trade than Rhea Sato, even though Rhea Sato has the rest of the members of Darkness Revolution on the outside, and Maria doesn't have her tag partner Enrico or any other members of Marvelous. I don't think they were on the outside of this one. I could be wrong, but so you kind of have that story to tell. But they basically were just going to kind of bend the rules a little bit, not doing anything too crazy, and just focus on body parts, like an old school psychology match focus on body parts, have somebody make a comeback, but not make a comeback all the way because of the knee was hurt or the arm was hurt. So then this was a match really that you can show to somebody young trying to get into wrestling. Like, this is how you sell, levels of selling, and even on your comeback, you don't have 100% of your energy because of your selling said limb and where to sell. And again, like I said, the different levels and psychology of selling. It was an easy story to tell, and I liked how the finish did go into the body part. One thing I hate is when you have somebody spend the entire match working on the knee, working on the knee, working on the knee. The other person comes back, they hit a whole bunch of stuff, then they can't make the comeback 100% because they're working on the knee, and the finish is a brain buster. And I was just like, wait, what was the whole point of working on the knee? Right. And obviously there's exceptions to certain rule, but obviously, especially towards the end, Maria really pointed up the crooked head scissors, especially locking in the armbar. So you had a double submission there, and eventually they got back to it for the finish. Again, I'm a big fan of grappling submission wrestling. This was right up my alley. 3 3/4 stars for me, my friend. Really solid stuff.
Moving on then next to the tag team match with Darkness Revolution defeating Miko Ano and Megaton. And Matt, again, this backstage promo, it's the way that Miko Ano delivers it. It's so dry. Obviously, Misa Matsui locks in the crossface. Megaton taps instantly because that's what Megaton does. And Miko Ano is backstage and she's so dry in her delivery. And it's like, was the move really locked in? That it didn't look like it was actually locked in that much. Could you not have just held on for a bit? And I think she actually says, I was literally on my way to come and save you. Like, could you not have held on for a And honestly, the way that she doesn't get angry at any point. It was such an, I'm not angry, I'm just disappointed. And it was so dryly delivered that she walks off and Megaton looks absolutely devastated. It was, honestly, I remember that more than the match. And the match was really good, but genuinely, that just really made me laugh. Proper belly laugh.
I didn't see the backstage promo. That's funny.
Oh, you need to. It's hilarious.
That's funny. You knew what was going to happen. Obviously, Miko Ano, when she comes in, she's going to be highlighted. She's going to beat up Misa Matsui. She's going to beat up Chiaki. She's going to give him a couple things here and there. Obviously, we've seen since they threw Megaton out of Darkness Revolution Army, whenever they have these tag matches, they bend and break the rules and double team poor Megaton. It's like, oh, come on, right? And you're building up sympathy. Then she makes the hot tag to whoever her partner is. Usually, sometimes it's Koki Amare. Here it's Miko Ano, so you have an explosive over baby face, right? So bump and feed from the heels. Chiaki and Misa Matsui. Eventually the heels, because they're a constant tag team, what do? Double team works to take Miko Ano out. That opens up the door for Misa Matsui to lock in the crossface, forcing Megaton to tap out. Megaton 0 for 2 on going for the Megaton press. The one thing I completely forgot to mention on the last show, Rob, she went for the Megaton press, and Vittoria Yuzuki properly kicked her in the face. And like Megaton had no idea where she was. Like, oh, geez, like I didn't know it was gonna be that stiff. And by the time she reacts to it, Victoria Yuzuki's up and it's an explosive drop kick. And I was like, oh, damn. I mean, really, jeepers, Victoria Yuzuki. But that's kind of almost what happens here. She goes for the Megaton press. Doesn't work on Misa Matsui. Chiaki does a great job, holding off Miko Ano, I guess, for enough time for Misa to somewhat lock on the crossface for the tap out. 3.5 stars for me. You had your comedy, your fun stuff. Again, Miko Ano looked like an absolute killer here, rightfully so. She's a main eventer, but that is pretty funny. Where it's like, I was coming to save you. All you had to do was hold on for a second, and it wasn't even in. Like, what are you doing? And I guess that's part of the gimmick, part of the fun that is Megaton.
And again, like the fact that they've been able to reinvent. I know that obviously Megaton is. You know what you're getting with Megaton. You are not getting a 5-star classic. Irrelevant of what me and you would say, Matt. You know what you're getting. Obviously, we had the heel Megaton as a part of Darkness Revolution, but credit to them for reinventing the Megaton character a little bit to the point where she is now one of the most over on the roster, which is mad to say out loud when you consider who else is on this roster. But Megaton, they found a place for her, and that's credit to Marigold. Moving on then to Mirai and Koki Amare versus Chika Goto and Minami Yuki. Matt, you put Koki Amare and Chika Goto against each other. It's going to be great. Obviously, the exchange with Mirai were brilliant. Obviously, Minami Yuki continues to impress during her development and is someone that we didn't mention during the sort of future of Marigold, and that's quite unfair, really, of me. Koki Amare and Chika Goto were the sort of the nucleus of this match around which everything else was built. That I don't want to say animosity because it doesn't feel like they despise each other, but there is such a need for her to prove herself from Chika Goto that it almost feels like she does hate Koki Amare. And I don't feel like it's ever been expressly said that I hate you, Koki. But there is sort of this underlying, I will prove myself, I will surpass you. And that has led to some really quite intense exchanges. And again, that's what this entire match is built around.
Yeah, I mentioned last week how there was a 6-person tag, and I apologize, I forget who was in it, but Koki and Chico were on the same team. And it was Chika Goto that slammed, I forget who it was, and set Koki Amare up for the Amethyst Butterfly. I was like, oh, maybe we're slowly going to build them back as a team. And then there was like, nope, here we go right here. And again, I mentioned it on the last show we just reviewed. Minami Yuki and Chika Goto are so great as a tag team here. They were terrific. Obviously, you have Mirai. She's the big star here, but a lot of this was kind of her leaning back a little and letting Koki and Chika Goto almost like sort out their differences. She got in the ring, obviously, it was great because it's Mirai. She's one of our favorite wrestlers in this company. But the one thing I did notice was almost a divide and conquer thing from Chika Goto and Minami Yuki. Again, because they've been teaming up so frequently as of late, they have the tag team advantage on this. And so it's like anytime anyone of them got in trouble, the other one would come and we see some teamwork to either cut down Mirai or cut down Koki Amare, which I really like that. But you're right, partner. The nucleus of this match, as you perfectly put it, was Chika Goto and Koki Amare. Obviously, again, we mentioned it all the time. I mentioned it again. They were supposed to have that big match at the beginning of the year. Koki unfortunately got injured. So we know that match is going to happen sometime soon. Maybe it's a special singles match on Grand Destiny that is kind of, you can put onto that what we know is going to be a loaded card. Maybe that's where they finally have that big proper singles match that we didn't really get at the beginning of the year. And this may be just a slow build to it. Regardless, really great stuff. Again, I love Minami Yuki and Chika Goto as a team. Koki Amare looks fantastic here. And obviously Mirai is Mirai. I mean, she's terrific. 3 and 3/4 stars. Just another great tag match from Marigold, buddy.
Moving on then next to, again, another really, really great match. The semi-main event, Mai Sakurai and Kazuna Tanaka. Again, during the predictions episode, the preview episode, I said that I thought Kazuna Tanaka might pin Mai Sakurai and set herself up as a white belt challenger. That did not happen, obviously, because I predicted it, and stuff I predict very rarely happens. However, this was Kazuna Tanaka's best performance of the tournament, without a shadow of a doubt. And the chemistry between these two only strengthened my desire to see a United National title match between these two, because they did, in 8 minutes, some really, really great work, some really smooth work. And I would love to see them do this again with it stretched out over 15, 16 minutes, because again, as I've said multiple times during the course of this podcast, they complemented each other so well. Kazuna Tanaka is so damn good. She's so good. And I know that often she gets sort of forgotten. You know, again, it looks like she's going to be near the bottom of the block, which we sort of predicted she would be. She's obviously 0-3 at the moment in the tournament, not likely to pick up many tournament victories now. But her performances and are basically getting to a point where the crowd, you can't ignore Kazuna Tanaka. You simply can't. And again, I think once they do put the Twin Star Championships on Celine Flora, which again probably won't happen, but it's something that me and you think will be a great title change. I think once they do that, you will see her progress even more.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, buddy. My only one nitpick about this match is it went 8 minutes, and I wish it would have went 18. If you give this 2, 3, 4 more minutes to tell their story, I think that you would get to that next level. And I think that this was something that I think Kazuna Tanaka proved. Like, look, you're putting me in the ring with, again, kayfabe, your second best wrestler in this company, because she's holding the second biggest belt, the United National Championship. So, and she was able to hold her own. And again, credit to Mai Sakurai giving Kazuna Tanaka enough to make her look credible. And obviously, she gave Kazuna Tanaka a little bit, and Kazuna Tanaka, that old saying, give you an inch, let's see if you can take a mile. And obviously, that's what Kazuna Tanaka did. She really took advantage of every opportunity she had in this match. And I mention all the time that one of the many reasons why I'm a massive fan of Kazuna Tanaka is because 20 years ago, when I broke into wrestling, one of the juniors that I wrestled, or not wrestled, I wish I wrestled them, that I studied the most was her dad, Minoru Tanaka. And I noticed in this match, I don't think she's done it before, and if I'm wrong, let me know, She did the one thing that her dad used to do where she throws the outside kick, the wrestler catches it, and then she basically just rolls into a knee bar. I tried to do that a few times, Rob, to the shock of nobody because I'm not athletic. I basically pile drive myself onto the mat. After I tried 2 or 3 times, I'm like, no, I have no idea how he does it. I really haven't seen many wrestlers over the last 20 years really utilize it. And she did it here. I'm like, oh boy, if this is what we're doing, if we're taking that move that really nobody's done over the past 20 years, we're going to put it into her arsenal. And then on commentary, you can build it up. It's like, yeah, her dad showed her that move. That's a move that her dad used quite a bit back in the early 2000s. I'm all for that. Her and Sakurai, just great chemistry. My Sakurai really bumping and feeding for Kazuna Tanaka, really putting over the dangers of her submissions, only for her to rally. By her, I mean my Sakurai. For her to rally, with the big boots, the forearms, the shining black for a few 2 counts. Eventually, though, she uses those boots and the shining black, that step up in Saguri for the to build up to the STK to get the win. 3 3/4 stars for me. Again, a really great match. I probably would hit that 4.25 to maybe 4.5 stars if it would have went that 13, 14 minutes, regardless. But 8 minutes, what they did here, I thought was absolutely genius and great storytelling.
Main event time then, and I think we're going to see a Maya Yukihi heel turn. I'm just going to put it out there. I mean, let's face it, she was basically the heel in this match. The fans in Tokyo, they were big into Komomo Minami. Now, obviously, we're not getting heel Mayu. But what I did really enjoy about this was the fact that Mayu put over the fact that Komomo Minami was getting chants over her. Because the whole point of Mayu in Marigold, 7 point on outstanding matches, is to help elevate talent. That's the whole point of her being there. We know that if Mayu's in a match, it's going to be great. So elevate that talent. And I feel like just by being in the presence of Maya Yukihi, Komomo Minami has improved. We've already talked about the rub off of Maya Yukihi leading to Komomo Minami doing a death defying leap off a bus. So it's not necessarily always a good thing. But the fact that Komomo is getting chance, is getting her name cheered above Mayu, even if it's just in this venue, proves that Mayu is doing the job she needs to do. Putting over that talent, even though obviously, Mayu isn't going to get pinned by Minami, at least yet. The match itself is great. That's the one thing that really stood out to me. The fact that people are so behind Komomo Minami. And ultimately, that's why I started the podcast in the way I did, because are we building to something? Are we building to a mega push for Komomo? I mean, and I'm not talking about Marigold World Championship, obviously, but more of a focus on Komomo Minami. I mean, she has to be a shoo-in for next year's tournament, surely, especially the way she's continued to develop and impress. But it's something that I really noticed during this match, because her exchanges with Mayu were absolutely tremendous in this. And obviously we got little exchanges, Victoria Yuzuki and Mayu, Victoria Yuzuki and Seri. Shino, again, is in this match. 16 years old. I am so incredibly jealous of the talent that she has at 16 years old. And then obviously Utami and Mayu, who we are, 10 days away from seeing in Korakuen Hall. This match had a lot of stuff, a lot of moving parts, and it was my favorite match of these 2 cards.
Rob, but I just want to take this opportunity to I'm going to put you over, buddy. You said that you're jealous of a 16-year-old. Does anybody call her groovy? No, but you're groovy, buddy.
Granted, no one has ever called her groovy. No.
See that? But you're groovy. So let's just take
that.
Pat,
you, man. I
do the old Barry Horowitz and pat yourself on the back, buddy. When you get this graphic and this match is starting, you're already thinking in your head, man, I just saw that great match the day before with Utami and Seri. I can't wait to see them lock it up. Oh, man, we're going to get Mayu and Utami, 2 of the best wrestlers in the world. They're going to throw it down. But really, this match was, for me, Shino versus Utami in the beginning was great. And again, to the shock of nobody, I say this week in and week out, I'm going to say it again, Utami taking not only a rookie, but a rookie 16 years old and making it look like in the first 3 or 4 minutes of this match that she can kick the crap out of the world champion. That is such a great talent that Utami Hayashishita does. Just really great stuff there between the 2. Like, oh, man, can you imagine like a 10, 11-minute match with Shino versus Utami? Can you imagine a year or 2 what a 20-minute match with these 2 would look like? Really great stuff. Obviously, you have Yuzuki and Seri Yamaoka. We've seen them wrestle a handful of times, and these two seem like they're going to wrestle each other like 5,000 times over the next 7 or 8 years, and we will never get sick of it because they have instant chemistry. We get some great stuff there, but when it boils down to the heart of this match is Mayu getting Komomo Minami over. Just really, really great stuff there. And then Mayu realizing the chants are for Komomo in this match and then slowing things down to let it breathe. So this way, it's one thing. It's like if somebody's chanting for somebody that you're trying to get over and that you clearly have plans for, but when they're chanting and they're like, okay, I need to go to my next spot, but well, wait a minute, let's let this breathe and let's get the crowd reaction even more in depth. Again, Mayu's a genius. She knows what she's doing. And at that point in the match where they're chanting for Komomo, where she's laying on the ground and selling and looks battered and beaten, Mayu could have went to the next spot, sure. But she's like, I'm gonna let this breathe for 7 or 8 seconds. And then the chants kept getting louder and louder and louder. So it's just like, wow. The fact that in this match you have Victoria Yuzuki, the future professional wrestling, Utami, your red belt champion, Shino, and Seri, 2 super rookies, and Mayu Utani, arguably the greatest to ever do it. And who are they chanting for? Komomo Minami. We mentioned, as you said, buddy, at the start of this podcast, they're definitely doing something with it. And I think we talked about that a few weeks ago. It's just like, we're not going to put her in the Dream Star yet, but we're going to put a focus on her not being in the Dream Star. So she's one of the most intriguing stories that we have in Marigold right now, considering the fact that we have the story of possibly Miko Ano winning this tournament, possibly Mirai winning the United National Champion, please, because we know the Mirai fans are begging for it. The possibility of a big Utami versus Miko Ano championship match. The possibility I keep saying possibility. The possibility that we begin Io versus Mayu in October. But one of the many interesting things that we're now talking about is what is going on with Komomo Minami, and that just really goes to show you how well rounded this roster and how great the booking and storytelling is. Ultimately, though, this match was terrific. Again, to me, this was all about getting Komomo Minami over. And if that was their plan, they hit an absolute home run. This is my favorite match of the show. I had it at 4 stars, a really great finish. And even though Komomo eating the pin here, you're getting more sympathy on her because it took an absolute shellacking from Mayu Utani. Some of those buzzsaw kicks that she hit, I was like, yowzers, Mayu. Yowzers. Maybe she should hit the dummy with that buzz.
That's exactly what I was thinking. I tell you what, I wouldn't want to be a drunk driver with Maya Yukihi on police duty if she's going to hit him with stuff like that. Good grief.
Boom. Again, obviously, everybody's great in this match, but we got to sing the praises of Komomo Minami, rightfully so. Again, 4 stars for me, my friend. I thought this was terrific.
So that brings us to an end of the review part of the section. I just want to update you as to where we are in terms of the Dream Star Grand Prix. So in terms of Dream League, Utami and Victoria Yuzuki sit atop the block with 6 points. Victoria Yuzuki, though, of course, having that tiebreaker over Utami. So she is top of the block, Utami in second. Mayu Utani, Seri Yamaoka, and Maria all on 4 points. And then you've got Koki Amare and Chiaki on 2 points, and Ria Sato, unfortunately, sat bottom of the block on 0 points. We move on then to Star League, and Star League's a really interesting one because at the moment you've got 3 people tied on 6 points: Misa Matsui, Nagisa Nozaki, and Mai Sakurai. Now, obviously, Misa Matsui has that crucial tiebreaker over Mai Sakurai, and Maya Sakurai has the tiebreaker over Nagisa Nozaki. So some really interesting points to go over there. And I'm looking forward to seeing what Misa and Nagisa do in the ring together. This is really interesting as well because Miko Ano is currently on 1 point. Mirai is currently on 3 points. So where are their victories coming from? Just below those women on 6, Chan Yota is currently on 4 with a record of 2-2. Mirai on 3, having dropped that match to Nagisa Nozaki. Chika Goto is on 2 points, Miko Ano on 1 point, and then Paul Kazuna Tanaka right at the bottom of the block on 0. We have got far more Dream Star, Grand Prix action coming up. We are going to be coming at you from Chika Goto's homecoming this time. She has got the match that she has wanted for goodness knows how long, but probably since Mayu debuted, actually. But she has finally got the moment she wanted. She has got that singles match against Mayu in the main event of the homecoming show. Elsewhere, the rest of the card, three-way match. We've got Hummingbird versus Nagisa Takibana versus Nao Ishikawa. Six-woman tag, Mai Sakurai, Seri Yamaoka, and Minami Yuki versus Mirai, Komomo Minami, and Yuka Yamazaki. Another six-woman tag, Miku Ono, Megaton, and Kazuna Tanaka versus the Darkness Revolution, Misamatsu Ichiaki, and Rhea Sato. Will Matt Turner and Megaton take those words from Miku Ono on board? We've then got two really interesting Dream Star matches, Koki Amare versus Victoria Yuzuki, which is going to be great for... from the Dream League. And we've also got Utami Hayashishita versus Maria as well. So another exciting match there. Don't think I mentioned this. The show will be coming from the Sun Pearl Arakawa in Tokyo. And again, will be Chika Goto's homecoming show.
Rob, I'm just going to put this out there real quick, just because to amp up the more comedy. How great this is a match Chika Goto wants. It's her homecoming show. She wants Mayu Iwatani. How great would it be if Mayu comes out in like the police gear that she had? She wrestles the whole match like that.
Imagine, amazing. Just Chika Goto starts running the ropes and she just blows the whistle and holds up a hand doing a traffic signal.
She rolls her out. That's the finish.
After all that time. Matt, that being said, we have got one more section and one more section only before we wrap up this podcast, and that is a gaze at Julia, a groovy gaze at Julia.
Yes. Oh my goodness. Writes itself, folks. As always, thanks to my main man Darren Chatton, who gave me the time cues for the gaze at Julia. He also gave me a note about your football team. Hold on. No,
for God's sake.
He did.
Oh, okay.
I just did it to pop myself.
I will just say, and I know Darren listens. Big up Darren, by the way. Thank you for helping out. But genuinely, I support Newcastle, he supports Sunderland. We're massive rivals. I am genuinely really glad Sunderland are back in the Premier League, because that's where they deserve to be. I will just say as well, they looked frighteningly good on Saturday. And I was very confident when the Derby day was, whenever the Derby day is, I can't remember exactly when it comes up. I was very confident that Newcastle were going to win it. We've had a lot of issues with our striker, who's decided that he doesn't want to do the job he's paid to do. That's a different issue for a different podcast, but there we are. I'm now terrified of that match, because having seen Sunderland and how good they were on Saturday, very, very worried for Newcastle's prospects in that match. But that being said, Matt, gaze at Julia, please.
Gaze at Julia for the second week in a row. Really not much for our United States champion, one Julia. Just another backstage segment, very much like last week. Kind of looks like we're setting up her next two challengers, one in Jade Cargill and one with Mi Chin, better known as Mia Yim. It does look like Mia Yim would be up first. So my guess is that they will probably set that up either this Friday on SmackDown, maybe for next week. But that's the match that I would like to see. The one thing that even though Julia doesn't get as much ring time as we would like for her, that when she does have these matches, they do get some time, and they are fantastic, very much like her and Zelina Vega last week. But maybe they're doing with Julia what they did with Io. We didn't have too much of Io on TV coming off WrestleMania, and then we've had 2 weeks of nothing but Io, like Monday Night Io in like every other segment. So maybe that's where Julia, maybe it'd be Friday Night Julia coming up in the next few weeks, because again, they have set up, it looks like, her next two potential challengers in Jade Cargill and one Mia Yim. So hopefully that's the way they go. But that's pretty much about it. Rob, good one for our gaze at Julia.
But why would you have Julia wrestle in ring when you can dedicate even more time to the never-ending bloodline story, Matt Turner? Why? That's my big question.
You know what? I did want to start this podcast off with a congratulations to Naomi. That is awesome.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I will say that line of announcing her pregnancy by saying it looks like the bloodline is going to carry on. Perfect. What a way of dropping it. And then did you see Becky Lynch's tweet afterwards? How irresponsible to become pregnant when you're champion.
And if you remember then who became champion after Becky Lynch announced she was pregnant.
Unless I'm very much mistaken, it was Megaton.
Well, it was Megaton dressed up as Asuka because Asuka won
was.
the COVID Money in the Bank. So now that Naomi obviously has to forfeit the title, a lot of questions are up in the air. Maybe it goes back to Io. Maybe they do Io and Stephanie Vaquer at Clash at Castle. There's a lot that they can do because they're doing some great stuff with the women's division. And again, I know we're getting off kilter. Did you see that promo they did with Bayley? Like Bayley was a backstage promo, or not? It was like a vignette.
Yes. Yeah,
Where,
the stuff where sort of like she's going to turn heel, we reckon, and it's sort of that everything's getting on top of her and sort of a psyche is breaking.
well,
It's
yeah,
very well done.
they had because again, it's like what are we doing with Bayley? She's fantastic, and they made it a point where it's like they're doing nothing with her. They're doing nothing with her. Everyone's like, she's going to join Mercedes in AEW, which I wouldn't mind. I think that'd be great. But I was like, now she's getting frustrated that she's breaking, or now the ding dong Bayley's getting into her head, and then the last second of that promo, her babyface voice goes, I think you just need a hug. I'm like, oh my God, are we melding the three faces of Bayley together? Very much like Mick Foley. There is some great stuff going on in women's wrestling all over the globe. Obviously, Rob, we talked about Marigold and Stardom, and now again, obviously, with Talk Joshi, we're doing more of Sendai Girls, and we're going to try to do more Tokyo Joshi Pro. But even the stuff they're doing in the big companies, obviously AEW with Tony Storm and Mercedes, and with Athena. And then what they're doing on Raw with Io getting every other segment, and Kyrie's there, and Asuka, and obviously Rhea, and now we're throwing in the three faces of Bayley. Man, I tell you what, women's wrestling is just peak. I just hope that we get more stuff about Julia so we can talk about it because Julia's fantastic.
She certainly is. Ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to an end of this episode of the Marigold Standard. We will be back next week to talk about Chika Goto's homecoming show and to preview the Korakuen Hall show as well, because that card has show of the year potential. It really, really does. But in the meantime, if you haven't already, please consider subscribing to the podcast wherever you get your podcasts. It really does help us out. And if you could leave us a 5-star review and a comment, it's a free way to help the podcast out. You can check us out on Patreon, patreon.com/the Stardomcast. We can get all of these episodes early and ad free for as little as $1 solitary a month. However, if you want to check out our show reviews, our news, our previews, all of that good stuff, that is all completely and utterly free. You just click on the link. You don't need to sign up or anything like that. But if you do want to have a look around, please do. You can find us on social media at Marigold Podcast, unless, of course, it is Instagram, Threads, or Blue Sky, where you can find us at Talk Joshi. You can find me on Twitter at Real Rob Goodwin. If you're going to be out and about in Glasgow for Dynamite, then please drop me a message, say hello, and then, of course, the same for Forbidden Door on Sunday. If you're out and about, want to get a drink, or just want to say hi, please come and say hi. I'd love it. But yes, Matt Turner, sounds off good, sir.
Folks, questions, comments, suggestions, anything you need from me, Matt Turner OF on the Instagram and the Twitter is the easiest, fastest, and best way to get a hold of me. Or you can get me on the email. The new email address is groovy. No, I'm just kidding. Groovy Rob Goodwin. Folks, the email just simply is thestardomcast22@gmail.com. Folks, that's going to wrap it up for another fantastic episode of the Marigold Standard. We greatly appreciate your support. Can't do without you. It's like I always say, just not my podcast. It's our podcast because we're all together. Everybody's different. Everybody's special.